Segregation, yes, but the point is, the challenge is you then have to educate the people to understand why you should segregate. You don't tell me that I generate some waste, your duty is just to come pick it up and then ask me to select what I think I have to reuse, because come to think of it, I don't need it again. That's the reason I discarded the waste. So it is for you to take it and do what you want to do with it. Besides, now that most companies are mandated to collect money from household before collecting the waste, I don't see why people... But when it comes with education, letting people understand that, yes, you segregate the waste, it is for your own benefit. It is also to protect the environment for the future generation, your unborn children. Then the person understands the sense of purpose, the sense of urgency that, yes, we don't have any land. This land could have been used for an appropriate, maybe school or other things, but it's being used to just bury resources, because what we have there are resources. Those are raw material for new products that could be utilized. Yes.
So is it then, do I get the understanding then that if we are to segregate the waste, it won't be the individual who generates its responsibility to do the segregation, but the waste management company?
Yes, certainly. Before, since they've been contracted, normally it is good to advise people from their home to separate, reuse some of the bottles and so on. I believe it is done, but it is most of the time done in a maybe very insignificant way, because probably there are some bottles I use, I don't need to discard, I could use it for other purposes. But you cannot do it on a large scale. It is for the waste management company to understand that, yes, we have to move away from just collecting and burying, which is not waste management. We don't call that waste management. There are processes before the final stage is just to bury the waste in a landfill. But yes, segregation, they could do at home, but it takes some few challenges and so on.
So looking behind us with this huge pile that we have behind us, ideally, could we have better managed this waste before it got to this stage?
Yes and no. Yes, in a sense that we were fortunate to meet few development in waste management, but the Europeans also faced the same challenges before they realized that, yes, we needed to change the way of doing things. So it's a yes and a no, because we do not have the real resources to actually take in hand the process to the final treatment. So it's a yes or no. See, we could have, we could have, but it's rather unfortunate. We chose the least expensive way of treating waste, that is just landfill.
If we had practiced segregation earlier,
we would have minimized the volume of waste we generate. But there will still be waste, there will still be material that will be buried.
So let's help the individual households. For instance, those in the target communities we are working at. BDM, for instance, which we are focusing on today. The people say that there are no waste management companies coming around to collect the garbage or the waste they generate at home. So they voluntarily decided to use a public toilet, an old public toilet, as a dumping ground now. How best could they handle their waste if there's no waste management company coming around?
I believe we need, first of all, to understand the size of the community and try to understand what type of waste they generate, and best advise on the strategy to adopt. And if, for instance, they could have social entrepreneurs coming to educate them on how, because mind you, if it is solid waste, we have more than 50% of the waste we generate as solid waste. And you could make good compost out of it. You could green your garden. You could, for instance, recover the bottles and sell it. I believe now people normally buy the sachet, the pure water sachet. So those are things they need to. It will be difficult for me here to give them a solution, but I think it is important that the government or the waste management companies, for that matter, try to, because waste is generated, they need to move the waste from where it has been generated to a better place and better handle and better treat the waste. But the basic thing they could do is, first of all, to recycle, some of the basic things, because if you are home, you can just have a waste bin for just your organic food. Those are your plantain peel, your cassava peels, and so on, and use a form of composting. Use some vermicide and so on to compost the organic waste you have. Put the bottles aside, probably rinse them and so on, and maybe use it for storage purposes. So then you minimize this, because then what you also do is reduce the stench that come out. The stench come out from the food waste. Stench will never come out from the bottles and the plastic we have in our household. Okay. So that's the reason why waste management, the life cycle of, for instance, in waste management, the life cycle of the flies are linked to the way wastes are carted from one location to the other. That's also the best solution is just to always have the waste carted away every week, and for restaurants and so on every day, because it has been processed and so on, and the second or third day you start giving out those foul odor we're getting. So I will ask them if they could learn how to do a bit of composting in their own houses and use it for their flowers and other purpose, and even grow some crops in their house. So this is because I don't know the volume of waste they generate in that community. If it's a community of about 1,000 or 2,000 people, I do not think that we have to bring a form of this. If they want to bury it in an abandoned pit, they could do that, but they should make sure that they take care of the food waste from the garbage here.
Is the burying of our waste, some say it's not too healthy for us?
It is not healthy, it's illegal.
So how do, here, okay, let's even come back to Accra, where there are communities where there are waste management companies that are supposed to pick up the garbage. They don't come for a week, and my garbage is still in the bin outside. And unfortunately, I've not done what you said, but I've mixed both my food and solid and other waste all in the bin. It's been 1 week, they are not coming. I'm not too sure if they'll come by next week. And
so you'll be manufacturing bacteria.
Exactly. So how do I deal with that?
Depend. For instance, previously, waste management companies that were not actually meeting their side of the contract were actually dealt with the AMA at the time. But now that they were mandated to go and collect money from household and this and that, parameters are changed. I will not know. It depends on the arrangement you have with the contractor. I believe before engaging them, you people might have signed some few contracts and so. But mind you, some of them do not get paid for the services they render. So it becomes a bit difficult to actually, you cannot afford them. If he does not have the resources to move the truck from his house, his company, to come and cart your waste to the landfill, you can't fault him because he's also supposed to be paid. Okay, so probably the agreement or the arrangement for carting has to be reviewed. I cannot stand here and tell you that there will be a penalty for a company that has been mandated to carry your waste to the landfill. I have previously, yes, but with the current arrangement, I don't know any law that normally will penalize any waste management company for not meeting its obligation.
But whilst we are not sure what the penalty or otherwise will be, I have already made a mess of my garbage. Is there any other way I can take care of it apart from burying it? Is there any other way I can...
What you can do, and what some people do in some advanced countries, just to drive yourself to the landfill and just pay some few fees and just leave it there.
But if the landfill is nowhere close to me, what do I do?
That is a reason why you're supposed to have some transfer station in your communities. You cannot just generate from your house and just send it to the landfill outright. You need to have transfer station. It reduces the cost, the burden on waste management companies as well. But we are not yet there. I believe that there are provisions to put up transfer stations around, but until it is realized, I really don't know what to say. But the best thing would have been for you to have a transfer station, go dump your waste there, and have the waste management companies, by close of the day, come and cut the waste to their final disposal or final treatment. Yeah.
Okay. We're talking about how to manage our waste with Richard Dabla. He's the CEO of Renewable Green Energy. Of course, as his company's name suggests, renewable energy. So we'll take a quick break here. When we return, we'll go into renewable energy, how we can generate energy, if possible, from the waste we produce in our homes and in our communities. Stay with us. Enjoy News on Multi TV, proudly funded by Star Ghana, and we're still here with Richard Dabla, the CEO of Renewable Energy, Renewable Green Energy. And before we went for the break, we said when we come back, we'll be talking about renewable energy and what energy indeed we will be able to get from our waste if we were to. If the waste that we generate. So, Richard, what sort of energy will we be able to derive and from what type of waste? Because I know when we've been talking about alternative sources to our electricity, for instance, and we know we can get from wind, from solar and all that. We're already producing from hydro. But can we get, for instance, say, electricity from the waste we generate?
Yes, it is possible to generate some electricity from the waste we generate. And just like you see behind, we have a heap of waste that contain various products. Like, I call them products because those are materials for other purpose. We could do what we call a landfill gasification. A landfill gasification is just about creating a well in an existing landfill before decommissioning the landfill, just to tap the resources we have buried in the ground. Okay. So what you do is just to tap and have what we call the landfill gas that contain some biomethane. And biomethane is have the same characteristic like a natural gas, and with some few impurities. Then channel through a generator and generate power to communities.
No further processing?
No further processing.
Just digging the well?
Yeah, just creating the well. And creating the tapping it.
And that's it?
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
So we could actually be solving our electricity problems from some of these landfill sites. Do we need to decommission before we dig the wells, or we can still generate whilst the landfill site is operational?
Because currently landfill is not something we promote. I believe they could decommission the place, re-engineer the place, tap the resources that we have buried there. Or we could also do a form of landfill mining for further process, either burning through pyrolysis to have what we call a syngas, those are synthetic gas to generate electricity. If the waste is so complex, you could certainly burn and generate some electricity, or put up some well, create some form of well, get the electricity, retreat the leachate, and I think the problem will be solved.
And the generator you spoke of, is it a normal generator we use?
Yeah, those are blank big generators we use for this. Yes, you could also use your own little waste in the house and do your small generator that can be powered with natural gas or biogas, and just have your little electricity instead of buying fuels at the pump station and just be fueling your generator.
Okay, so which means that if the waste truck doesn't come regularly,
yes,
it's been like 2 weeks and they're still not coming,
2 weeks you already have produced electricity.
So
you have produced some fuel to generate some fuel, some power in your house, or even use it to cook your daily food, and also besides have some organic fertilizer for your own house.
Okay. So, and lots of us have been sleeping in the dark. We didn't know that.
Yeah, so that is the basic. You just need to separate, first of all, your food waste, and create a mini digester in your own house. It is not complicated.
How do you create it?
Okay, I'll just give you the basics. I will not go too much into technical details.
because we'll be doing it ourselves.
You only need to have, for instance, 2 drums. The blue drum we have in our house, and we pour water,
one?
the plastic one,
Okay.
or even the small gallons we have. You only need 2 and create a form of digester. You have where you bury your waste. Waste, mind you, contain at least water. It contain not less than 30% of water is a component of the waste we generate every day. So we could just use the same scenario and just get some few electricity in your house, or probably use it to also fuel your kitchen. Then when people are carrying the tank for the LPG for shortage, you certainly will not suffer any shortage. And you can even ask your neighbors to bring their food waste in your house for free while you make good use of it.
So we can actually, but the primary source for generating it will be the food waste.
Yes, no, I mean the basic, because burning the waste is a complex science. So for a layman, I do not advise he goes through those process. But the basic, you have food waste. Currently, our composition of waste is 60% organic.
Okay.
Is 60% organic. That is a lot of fuel, because if we have, let me go a bit technical, with 1,500 tons of waste, for instance, you could generate about 10 megawatt hour of electricity. And if you know what 10 megawatt hour of electricity can do for a community, is a lot. So why then bury it when you can use it for that purpose?
Okay. So let's go over it again, step by step, basically. First, would I need to bury my food waste?
You don't need to bury, because
Even if I pour it on the ground in my house like that, I can still generate from it?
No, you need to put it in the tank.
In the tank, as
Yes,
you said? Okay.
a container. I mean, maybe a small bucket, but you have to test the texture. Yeah.
Okay, so I put my food waste in the container. For how long before I can start generating?
You need to go through a form of, there are bacteria that normally come into place. Okay, so there will be a form of anaerobic digestion in water, and all that thing come into effect to decompose the waste. So it could, let's say within a week, you should be able to see something happening. Yeah.
Okay.
So the more you keep, that you'll be having, and then you replace. Then you have a pure compost that has not been contaminated that you could use from your farm.
Okay. So what would I see, say, after 2 weeks of trying to keep my food waste in the container? What would I see that would be the sign that
because
I can now start generating?
You will be having a pipe that will connect to a gas holder. So the gas holder, you see that it will be it's just like you having a balloon, so you see that it starts. So that is where you realize that yes, there has been a process where now you have gas passing. It is, I will not say it is complex, but it is basic when you are taught that you could do that. And I believe communities could decide to do those kind of things, like the community you mentioned. They could decide to put up a digester, a mini digester outside the community, where they'll be stockpiling the food waste and allow the process to take place. Yeah.
And there's no cost to that?
Certainly there's cost, because you'll be constructing maybe you may use some brakes, you may use some gas holders, you will need piping and so on, but the cost is basic. It is not something, considering your health and what you gain from it, I don't think that you have to complain about the benefit of generating electricity or generating fuel for your community through that. Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about electricity that we can generate from our food waste. How about the other waste we produce? Can we get any other form of renewable energy?
Yeah, certainly. When you combust all you burn the waste. You then have a synthetic gas. It goes through certain process. You have to then the synthetic gas then power your generator also to produce electricity. Then after that, because there is a form of vitrification, then you have glasses and so that could be crushed, or you may have a bottom of fly ashes that you recapture, and you could also use it for road construction, or you can use it to mix it with your cement and have maybe pavement block that are 30% even stronger than what we normally use in our houses.
Okay, so burning is also another way of...
Yes, but burning is another way, but it depends on what you're burning.
What should we burn? Because some would mix the plastics and the glasses and everything, even the food together and burn. Yeah. Is that ideal?
No, ideally you burn material that cannot be, that does not have any value in the market. Okay, like for instance, the way you sweep your house, you have some inert material, you have certain material that cannot be recycled. Mm-hmm. Then you could burn.
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't think you should be burning your bottles when somebody could use the bottles for other things. I don't think you should burn the food waste because it will take energy to burn the food waste that has a water content of 30 to 40%. So it becomes, it's not sustainable to go through those processes. Yeah. What you do is to go through the chain, recover the material that have certain value, like recover your tar, recover the PET bottles, recover the pure water sachet, recover the paper that you could recycle. For instance, the waste paper you use in your office could be recycled to do newspapers. That is a process, that's a chain. The waste paper go through a process to become the newspaper you use. The newspaper then become the tea roll you use. So those are recycled material, so it takes a form of chain.
So then again, it comes back to segregation.
Yes, segregation is important, yeah.
So it is one thing we should be looking out for if we are to benefit from the waste that we produce.
Before landfilling, we need to take most of materials that could be recovered for other, material productions, and then bury what I believe is in it. Then at least you'll be increasing diversion from landfill about 90%. So we will have our landfill existing maybe for 50 and 100 years, and we'll not have the problem. If you generate about 3,000 and you are only able to bury only 10% of 3,000 every day, just imagine the lifespan of your landfill, and just imagine that you'll be saving the environment as well. You'll be doing yourself some good. The resources, productivity will increase. You'll be creating jobs.
Okay, we've spoken a lot about the solid and the liquid, but one we haven't touched on is electronic waste.
Yes.
Can we get anything good out of electronic waste, other than the fact that the boys burn it for copper
and gold?
Yeah, well, so apart from that...
Yes, you have gold in your mobile phone.
So, okay, but the problem has always been with the way it is extracted.
Yeah.
Is there a safer way?
Yeah, there are safer ways in with renewable green energy. What we actually intend doing is not just producing electricity. We want to put up a material recovery center where we have e-waste hub where all wastes are channeled and treated in a much more dynamic and very environmental friendly way to recover most of the material. But what we have to do, we need to synchronize the reality of the ground, because we do not think we need to take food from people's mouth. This is where so we will sit with them, understand their need, integrate them in the process, and then the process becomes sustainable. We need to understand what they do and probably give them a better solution.
Okay. Yeah. But then also the disposal of the electronic waste must also be done safely.
Yes, certainly. That's the reason why you need the center to actually recover the material that are very toxic for the environment, and then do the right thing, that is the use of the material for other things. Yeah.
But we cannot get electricity from e-waste, can we?
I do not, because e-waste contains so much toxic material. There's too much chemical. So it should be dealt with in a very proper manner, not what we are doing, inhaling the gas after burning the cables and so on. Most of them suffer for skin cancer and respiratory cancers and all those things. Because when you go to